The movie starts in the year 2142. Somewhere in space, a Weyland-Yutani drone finds the drifting wreck of the spaceship USCSS Nostromo. A team is sent to investigate and finds a lab inside where a curled-up xenomorph is lying in a fetal position. Meanwhile, on the star colony Jackson Star, a young woman named Rain Carine wakes up to an alarm calling her to work in the mine. During breakfast, her adopted brother Andy joins her, trying to cheer her up. He hopes they can save enough money to leave the colony for a better place called Iga. Rain decides to check in at the colony office first, hoping she's met the quota so she can finally leave. But the office worker denies her request, saying the quota has been raised. Just then, Rain sees a gang of young thugs beating up Andy. She rushes over to help him, and it's revealed that Andy is actually a synthetic human. She resets him, and he wakes up again. Around this time, her ex-boyfriend Tyler contacts her, asking to meet about a profitable deal. Although Rain is cautious, she goes to meet him at the edge of town where his ship, the Corballan, is parked. Rain and Andy board and are warmly greeted by Tyler's sister Kay. Tyler explains that they recently discovered an abandoned spaceship orbiting the planet. Since they've long met their work quotas but aren't allowed to leave, they decided to use their tug to reach the derelict ship, hoping to find cryo chambers that would let them escape to Iga, a planet with better living conditions. They invited Rain along because she has Andy, and only a synthetic can interact with the ship's computer systems. Tyler reminds her that if she refuses, she'll be stuck on the colony forever. Reluctantly, Rain agrees. During the journey, Bjorn mocks Andy, which bothers Rain, but the synthetic remains friendly and unfazed. They reach the space object and realize it's more of a decommissioned outpost stuck in orbit but rapidly falling toward the planet's rings. They have 36 hours before it collides. Rain asks Andy to reconsider before boarding, but Andy's only directive, written by Rain's father, is to do everything for her. Tyler, Bjorn, and Andy board the station, following scanner directions to the cryo capsules. Gravity is unstable, but the ship's motherboard powers up, activating the oxygen supply. When they reach the capsules, they find they're intact but lack enough cryofuel for the journey to Iga. They discover another large cryo chamber that might have the fuel they need and head toward it. Meanwhile, Rain, puzzled by Bjorn's hostility, learns that during a mine accident, a synthetic left Bjorn's injured mother behind, causing him to despise androids. As Navarro inspects the capsules, Kay confides in Rain that she's pregnant. The station system greets the crew, explaining that the outpost is divided into two sections, Romulus and Remus. Bjorn then reveals to Andy that he was only needed for the initial stage and will be left behind afterward. Rain overhears and is heartbroken that she didn't warn Andy herself. Bjorn finds an electric whip and teases Andy again, but Andy saves him from falling into a deep hole, where they spot part of a synthetic body. Eventually, they find the large cryo chamber and extract the fuel, accidentally triggering a lockdown. For some reason, the isolation protocol doesn't respond to Andy's commands. Rain and Navarro board the ship to save the men. Rain removes a chip from a damaged android and installs it into Andy, hoping it will give him control over the station. As Andy reboots, he briefly glimpses strange creatures aboard the ship. Meanwhile, Bjorn finds strange bioorganisms in a flooded chamber but is attacked by invisible creatures in the water. Tyler tries to help but is ambushed by a facehugger. Andy reboots just in time to save Bjorn, and the group attempts to escape, but the facehuggers break through doors. One attaches itself to Navarro's face. Surprisingly, Andy begins explaining the creature's actions scientifically, leading Rain to realize that the chip is influencing him. However, Andy suddenly refuses to obey her. Andy activates the damaged android Rook, a scientist from the station. Rook informs the group that the station's personnel were all killed by these creatures, and that Navarro cannot be saved. The parasite has implanted a seed in her, which will quickly merge with her DNA, allowing the xenomorph to grow. Rain suggests freezing the parasite's tail with cryofuel. This works, and Navarro regains consciousness, but Rook warns Andy that the facehugger has likely completed its mission and advises against allowing Navarro back on the tug. Despite this, Bjorn takes Navarro onto the Corballan. They detach the tug where Kay wakes up, confused about what's happening. Suddenly, Navarro starts feeling unwell. Kay tries to help, but a xenomorph bursts from Navarro's chest, killing her. The Corballan crashes into the hangar of Romulus, disturbing the station's orbit and setting it on a collision course with Jackson's planetary rings. Meanwhile, Rook makes his way to the command center and contacts the ship's motherboard. Andy discovers that the facehuggers can't see but can detect human body heat. To pass by undetected, they must raise the air temperature to 36.6 degrees Celsius and remain silent. They follow through with this plan, slowly making their way to the hangar. Kay escapes from the Corballan and, in one of the corridors, encounters Bjorn. Together they attempt to flee, but the passage is lined with xenomorph cocoons, indicating the creatures are maturing. Bjorn tries to destroy one with an electric whip, which initially seems effective. Kay tries to pull him away, but Bjorn becomes fascinated by the creature's acidic blood, which burns through metal barriers. Suddenly, the xenomorph sprays him with acid, and Bjorn dies as his body disintegrates. Kay reaches the door but can't open it. Tyler and Rain attempt to help her but are attacked by facehuggers. They flee, and Andy seals the doors behind them, cutting off Kay's escape. The group watches helplessly as the xenomorph attacks Kay and drags her into the depths of the station. Andy orders everyone to leave, explaining that he'll help them escape and then return to Jackson following his new mission. Andy leads them to the laboratory, where Rook explains that the station discovered a unique substance intended to help humanity evolve into beings capable of colonizing the universe. This substance contains a genome responsible for the xenomorph's ability to control metabolism, which can be rewritten into human DNA through blood, allowing humanity to evolve instantly. Andy finds a capsule of black liquid. His mission now is to deliver the sample to the colony. He arms the group. The group makes their way to the tug, discovering a massive incubator of creatures along the way. Suddenly, Tyler hears Kay's voice and rushes to help. Rain follows. They find Kay alive but cocooned by the xenomorph. They free her, and Andy suggests injecting her with the black liquid, but Rain opposes the idea. Just then, a xenomorph attacks and drags Tyler away. Andy freezes, and Rain has to drag Kay to the lift, sealing the doors behind them. Rain catches Andy's farewell glance and realizes she can't leave him behind. She sends Kay to the ship with instructions on handling the capsule and returns for Andy, removing the extra chip and restoring his original behavior. However, as the creatures activate, Rain asks Rook to open the doors, but he refuses to risk the station. Meanwhile, Kay reaches the Corballan, where she hears Rook's call, urging her to transfer control so he can bring her to the colony. Rain disables the artificial gravity to shoot down the attacking xenomorphs, and she and Andy make it to the lift, dodging flying acidic blood. When gravity is restored, Rain loses her weapon and falls into the elevator shaft, where a xenomorph intercepts her. The acidic blood begins burning through the metal, and Andy can no longer hold the lift, which crashes down, smashing the xenomorph and leaving Rain clinging to the wall. Another monster soon appears, but Andy arrives with a new weapon, killing it. They hear a warning about the impending collision and rush to the tug, which comes under control of the mothership just before the station crashes into the rings, destroying it along with Rook. Rain stops the Corballan and tells Andy their plans have changed. They're heading to Iga. Suddenly, alarming signals come from Kay's capsule. Rain checks on her and finds that Kay is giving birth to an egg from which a mutant xenomorph hatches. Rain ejects it into a cargo capsule, arms herself, and descends to finish it off, but it has already broken free. Rain hears Kay's screams and rushes to help, only to find Andy wounded by the creature. She witnesses the xenomorph kill Kay and escapes to the transition chamber, where she puts on a spacesuit. She lures the xenomorph into the cargo hold, and as the tug lands on the ring's surface, she ejects it into space. The xenomorph grabs her, almost breaking her helmet visor, but Rain escapes and climbs back onto the ship. Later, she places Andy in a stasis chamber, and before going into cryosleep herself, thinks about their future on Iga. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next video.